I didn't realize my own family only saw me as money until the day I stopped sending it, and suddenly I was selfish, ungrateful, the problem instead of the one fixing everything. And that was when I finally saw what they had been hiding all along. Quiet decisions, money moving without me, plans that only worked as long as I kept paying for them. And when I stepped back, everything started cracking in ways they couldn't control anymore. No one showed up to save it, no one cleaned it up, and for the first time, they had to face the consequences on their own. And that was my revenge. Not loud, not dramatic, just me walking away while everything they depended on slowly collapsed. This is Daniel Hayes, and this is how I learned the hardest truth. Sometimes you don't need to destroy anything to win. You just need to stop being the one holding it together. Chapter 1. The Call Before Everything Broke. I did not realize my family had been using me until the night I finally stopped saying yes. We were sitting in a private dining room in Charlotte, one of those places that tries too hard to feel calm and expensive. Low lights, soft music, everything muted except the tension sitting right in the middle of the table. My father had his hand wrapped around a glass of wine, not drinking it, just holding it like he needed something steady. My mother kept looking at me in short, sharp glances, like she was waiting for me to do what I always did. My younger sister Leela leaned back in her chair, relaxed, almost amused. Her husband Jason was half focused on his phone. My brother Caleb sat across from me, quiet, but watching. I slid the envelope toward him. He looked at it, then at me, confused. My mother straightened. My father went still. Leela let out a small laugh that felt off, like she was trying to keep control of something she could already feel slipping. I did not explain. I just told Caleb it was for him, not for her. The silence that followed felt different from the usual kind we had at family dinners. This one had weight. That was the moment everything started to break, even if no one else saw it yet. A few weeks before that night, I was at home, sick enough that even sitting up felt like effort. My phone kept buzzing on the nightstand. I ignored it twice. On the third call, I picked it up without checking, already tired. It was my mother. She did not say hello. She asked if I could transfer $20,000 that day. She said Leela needed it urgently to finish her medical program. I waited for her to ask how I was doing. She did not. I cleared my throat and asked what the payment was for. She said it was the final requirement, something administrative, something that could not wait. Her voice stayed steady, but the answers were thin, like the details didn't matter because the outcome was already decided. I asked again, slower. She cut me off. You know how important this is for her. Do not make this harder than it needs to be. I coughed, and she kept talking like she didn't even hear it. That landed harder than anything else. I sat there, staring at the wall, letting the silence stretch after she stopped speaking. This was not new. The thought came in quietly, but it stayed. Leela had never asked me directly. She never needed to. I told my mother I would take care of it. Her tone softened, just a little. She said she knew I could count on me. Then the call ended. No thank you. No, are you okay? Nothing. I stayed where I was for a minute, phone still in my hand, feeling something shift that I couldn't quite name yet. It should have been simple. My sister needed help. I helped. That was how it worked. At least, that's the story I had been telling myself. I pushed myself out of bed and walked to my desk, my head still heavy, my body slower than usual. I opened my laptop and logged into my account. The numbers came up clean and familiar. I entered the amount, $20,000. I double-checked the routing details she had sent and hovered for a second before hitting confirm. The transfer went through instantly. No hesitation, no friction, just done. I leaned back in my chair and let out a breath. A few seconds later, my phone buzzed. A message from my mother. Got it. That was all. I stared at those two words longer than I should have. I felt something tighten in my chest, and it was not from being sick. It was how normal that message felt. how expected, like I had just completed a task. I set the phone down slowly and rubbed my face, trying to shake the feeling off. It was not about the money. That's what I told myself, but the truth sat there anyway. It was about how easy it had been for them to ask, how automatic it felt, like this was just my role. I stood up and walked into the kitchen, pouring a glass of water I didn't drink. The apartment was quiet, the kind of quiet that makes you hear things you usually ignore. I leaned against the counter and tried to move on, but my mind kept pulling me back. This was not new. I just hadn't been looking at it clearly. I went back to my laptop and opened my transaction history. Line after line, different dates, different amounts, the same pattern. A few thousand here, a few thousand there. For school, for something urgent, for family. I scrolled further back. It had been happening for years, and every time I had treated it like a one-time thing, temporary, necessary. I felt a slow wave of embarrassment settle in. I should have seen it sooner. I should have asked better questions, but I hadn't, because saying yes had always been easier than pushing back. I sat there staring at the screen, letting the pattern take shape in a way I couldn't ignore anymore. They didn't see these as favors. They saw them as part of how things worked. I was the one who handled it, the one who didn't hesitate, the one who would figure it out. I closed the laptop and leaned back, my chest tight in a different way now. Not confusion, not even anger, something steadier, clearer. I had built something real with my life. A company from nothing, a system that worked, a future that was mine. And somehow, inside my own family, I had accepted a role that had nothing to do with any of that. Just give, just fix, just don't say no. I picked up my phone again, half expecting another message. There was nothing. Just silence. The kind that makes you think harder than you want to. And for the first time, I let the thought stay instead of pushing it away. Maybe I wasn't helping them. Maybe I was making it easier for them to keep using me. I sat with that longer than I expected. Long enough for it to stop being a question and start being the truth. And once it did, another question followed right behind it, quieter but harder to ignore. Was I their daughter? Or just the account they used when something went wrong?
Chapter 2. The Pattern I Tried to Ignore. I told myself it was just temporary. That was the line I repeated every time I sent another transfer, covered another bill, or said yes when I wanted to say no. It was never anything outrageous. Groceries, repairs, tuition gaps, emergencies that kept showing up like clockwork. But it always came back. The first time I noticed the pattern, it was small. A few hundred here, a couple thousand there. My parents would call in the evening, voices soft, careful. "We'll pay you back," my mom always said. They never did. At first, I didn't mind. I had built something stable. Helping didn't feel like a burden, it felt like what you were supposed to do. Family takes care of family. That's what I believed. Then there was Leela. My younger sister had always been easier to love in a room. Louder, warmer. She complained more, but somehow it came off charming. People leaned toward her, my parents especially. If Leela needed something, it was urgent. If I needed something, it could wait. I didn't realize how deep that ran until one Sunday dinner. We were at my parents' house, the usual setup. My dad carving meat, my mom fussing over plates, Leela on her phone like nothing could touch her. "I don't know what I'm going to do," Leela said, loud enough for everyone. "My rent went up again." My mom turned instantly. "How much, honey?" $600 more a month. A pause. I kept eating, already knowing. "We can help," my dad said. "At least for a while." Leela didn't even look up. That would help. No hesitation, no discussion. Then my mom glanced at me. "You've been doing well, right?" It wasn't really a question. "I'm fine." "Good," she said, almost relieved. "You've always been so responsible." I nodded. Leela got help. I got a compliment. That was the moment something should have clicked. It sat there, in front of me, obvious. I still stayed quiet. A week later, my dad called. The water heater went out. It's more than we expected. Of course it was. I'll handle it, I said. Are you sure? He asked, but not in a way that meant no. Yeah. After we hung up, I stared at my phone longer than I should have. It wasn't the money, that's what I kept telling myself, but something about it felt off, like I had slipped into a role no one talked about but everyone relied on. The one who fixes things, the one who absorbs the cost, the one who doesn't complain. I started paying attention after that. Every conversation had a pattern. Leela's problems were immediate, emotional. Mine barely registered. When I said I was thinking about taking time off, my mom said, "That sounds risky." When Leela said she wanted to quit another job, my dad said, "You should follow your passion." Same room, same people, different rules. The realization didn't hit all at once. It built slowly, like pressure behind something waiting to crack. Then it did. Another dinner, same table. Leela was talking about a trip she wanted, something expensive. "I just feel like I need a reset." My mom nodded. "You deserve it." That word stuck. Deserve. I let out a small laugh. I didn't mean to. Everyone looked at me. "What?" Leela asked. "Nothing." But it wasn't nothing. It was the first time I heard it clearly, the way deserve only applied to her. My dad frowned. "If you have something to say it." For a second, I almost let it go. Then I didn't. "It's just interesting," I said, keeping my voice steady, "how I'm the one you call when things break, but she's the one you celebrate when she wants something." The room went still. Leela's expression changed first, annoyed. "That's not fair." "Isn't it?" My mom stepped in. "You know that's not how we see it." "Then how do you see it?" I asked. No one answered. And that silence said everything. It stretched too long, heavy. Finally, my dad cleared his throat. "We're not keeping score." I nodded. But I was. I had been for a while. I just hadn't said it out loud. The rest of dinner was awkward. Conversations didn't land. Leela barely looked at me. My mom kept trying to smooth it over. I left early. In the car, I sat with the engine off, hands still on the wheel, replaying everything. Not just that night. All of it. Every transfer, every call, every quiet yes. And the worst part wasn't even the money. It was realizing they never once stopped to ask if I was okay carrying all of it. Not once. I thought about that moment at the table. You've always been so responsible. It didn't feel like a compliment anymore. It felt like a label they used so they wouldn't have to look any closer. I felt embarrassed. Not for helping, for sitting there nodding along, acting like it was normal, like I didn't see what was happening. Because I did. I just didn't want to admit what it meant. I wasn't being appreciated. I was being used. That thought landed harder than anything else. And once it was there, I couldn't push it away. Something shifted. Not loud, not dramatic, but enough. Enough to make me pause the next time my phone rang. Enough to stop answering immediately. Enough to understand that if I didn't change something, nothing else would. And for the first time, I didn't feel guilty about that. I felt done.
Chapter 3. The numbers didn't add up. Something about that number would not let go of me. 20,000. It stayed in my head all morning, quiet but heavy, like a detail that did not belong but kept pretending it did. I tried to move through my day like usual. Emails, calls, meetings. None of it held. Because the story did not make sense. And the more I thought about it, the less it did. By late morning, I stopped pretending I was going to ignore it. I opened my laptop and pulled up my accounts again, staring at the transfer like it might explain itself if I gave it enough time. It did not. So I called Daniel Brooks. He picked up right away. "You only call this early when something is wrong," he said. "Something is wrong." He waited.
If someone is already struggling financially, I said, does a sudden expense at the end of that make sense? A pause. Not usually, he said, unless there is context. Otherwise, it means you are missing part of the story. Missing part of the story? Why? He asked. I am not sure yet. Then start with patterns, he said. One number does not tell you anything. Look at what came before it. After we hung up, I sat there for a moment. What came before it? I went back through everything I could access, messages, transfers, dates. At first it felt random, disconnected. Then it started to line up. Every time I had sent money, there was a reason, something urgent, something that could not wait. But the timing between those moments was too clean, too even. It was not chaos, it was controlled. That was when the doubt turned into something sharper. Something did not add up. That afternoon, I drove to my parents' house without calling. I told myself it was casual. My mom opened the door, surprised but smiling. You could have called, she said. I was nearby. She stepped aside. You want coffee? Sure. I followed her into the kitchen. How is Catalina doing? I asked. It sounded normal. My mom paused for a second. She's fine, busy. Still dealing with everything? She kept her back to me. It takes time. That was all. No detail, no explanation, just enough to move on. When my dad walked in, I tried again. Have you talked to Catalina recently? He barely looked at me. She's fine. Why? Just checking. He nodded, already moving on. The conversation ended before it started. Too clean. I stayed for a few minutes talking about nothing, drinking coffee I did not want. When I left, I hadn't learned anything new, but I had confirmed something. They were avoiding it. That was the second layer. Not what they said, what they refused to say. That night, I called Daniel again. I need you to look into something, I said. Send it. I sent everything. The next 2 days dragged. I moved through my routine, but nothing felt real, like I was watching my own life from a step outside it. On the third day, Daniel called. You're not going to like this, he said. Just tell me. There have been multiple refinances on your parents' house in the past year. I sat up. More than one? Yes. That alone didn't match what I had been told. What else? There are signs of debt shifting, credit lines moving, more than normal. My chest tightened. How bad? Bad enough that one payment wouldn't fix anything, he said. It would just buy time. Buy time? For what? A pause. For something they're not telling you. That was the moment it stopped feeling uncertain. The story did not match the numbers. And then something else hit me harder than everything before it. If they needed money that badly, Catalina would not have been the priority. I felt my stomach drop. Check one more thing, I said. Go ahead. I said the name I had been avoiding. Tyler. Daniel went quiet. I'll call you back. The wait stretched longer than it should have. When he called again, his voice had changed. There's an investment tied to him, he said. It failed. How bad? Worse than a loss. It was reckless, high risk, no protection, the kind of move someone makes when they think they can fix everything in one shot. My grip tightened. And it created pressure, the kind people try to hide. Hide. That word settled in. Everything started to connect. The timing, the silence, the way every answer felt incomplete. The 20,000. It was never random. It was never about timing. It was about covering something bigger. I sat there in the dark, not turning on the lights, and then it hit me fully. Catalina might not have needed that money at all. She might have just been the story they chose because it sounded easier to accept. I leaned back, exhaling slowly. This was not just about helping anymore. This was something else, something deliberate. I hadn't been included. I had been managed. That realization didn't come with anger. It came with clarity. Cold, steady clarity. Because once you see it, you can't pretend you don't. And once you realize the story was built to keep you quiet, there is no going back. I didn't feel confused anymore. I felt certain. They didn't just leave things out. They chose what I was allowed to know and what I was not.
Chapter 4. The dinner where everything shifted. I gave it 3 days before I went back, not because I needed more answers, because I wanted to see if anyone would say anything without being pushed. They didn't. The messages kept coming like nothing had changed. Catalina talking about plans, Tyler joking like he always did, my parents acting like everything was fine. Like I hadn't already figured it out. That told me enough. Dinner was already set for Sunday. Same house, same table, same routine they trusted. I showed up on time, holding a thin envelope. My mom opened the door. "You look tired," she said. "I'm fine. You've been working too hard." I stepped past her without answering. Inside, everything felt familiar. My dad pouring drinks, Catalina at the table, Tyler relaxed in his chair like he owned the place. Ethan sat quietly, like always. No one noticed the envelope. Dinner started normally. Safe conversation. My mom asking about work, my dad talking about markets, Catalina laughing at something Tyler said. I stayed quiet. Not because I didn't have anything to say, because I was waiting for the right moment. It came when Catalina started talking about her future again. New plans, a new direction, something about needing more time. "I just need a little more time," she said. My mom nodded right away. "Of course you do." Tyler smiled. "You'll figure it out." That was when I stood up. The chair shifted slightly against the floor. Not loud, but enough. Everyone looked at me. I walked around the table and stopped next to Ethan. He looked up, confused. I handed him the envelope. "I think you'll need this." He hesitated. "What is it?" "Open it." The room went quiet as he pulled the papers out. He read slowly. Then he looked up. "This is real?" "Yeah." Catalina leaned forward. "What is it?" Ethan didn't answer her. "You bought this?" he asked. I nodded. "It's in your name." The silence that followed was different, heavier. My mom was the first to react. "What is that supposed to mean?" she asked. "It means he has a place now," I said. Her face tightened. "Why would you do that? Why not help Catalina?" I looked at her. "Because he never asked me for money." That landed. Catalina froze. "What is that supposed to mean?" she said. "It means I'm done funding things that don't make sense." My dad set his glass down harder than before. "Watch your tone," he said. "I am," I said. "You just don't like what I'm saying." Tyler leaned forward. "This is ridiculous." I finally looked at him. "No," I said. "What's ridiculous is thinking I wouldn't notice." Catalina stood up halfway. "You're acting like we used you." I held her gaze. "You did." She shook her head. "We're family." I nodded slowly. "Exactly. And I was the one fixing everything while you called it normal." The room shifted again. My dad's voice sharpened. "This is not how we handle things." "No," I said. "This is how you avoided them." Silence. Ethan looked between all of us. What is going on? No one answered, so I did. "I want to talk about the 20,000. Catalina looked away. "There's nothing to talk about." "There is," I said, "because the story you told doesn't match what actually happened." Tyler let out a short laugh. "You think you figured everything out?" "I didn't have to figure much. The numbers did that for me." My mom stepped in. "You're misunderstanding the situation." "Then explain it." She didn't. My dad tried again. "This is not the time." "It is," I said, "because this is where it's been happening." Ethan frowned. "Someone explain what he's talking about." I looked at him. "I've been covering things for months, not emergencies, patterns." Catalina's voice got sharper. "This isn't fair." "Neither is lying." That hit harder than anything else. Tyler pushed his chair back. "No one lied." I didn't raise my voice. "Your investment failed."
Everything stopped. Catalina goes still. My mom inhaled sharply. My dad's expression locked. Tyler stared at me. You don't know what you're talking about. I do. And I know the 20,000 wasn't for Catalina. Silence. Real silence. Ethan slowly lowered the papers in his hand. What? Catalina shook her head quickly. This is insane. Then say it's not true, I said. She opened her mouth. Nothing came out. That was enough. Tyler's voice rose. This is none of your business. It became my business when I paid for it. My dad raised his voice. That's enough. I shook my head. No, I'm not helping anymore. I'm done fixing your mistakes. That was the line that broke it. No one spoke for a second. Then everything shifted at once. Catalina turned on me. You're selfish, she said. You had the money. You could have helped without making it a big deal. There it was. Clear. Simple. Exactly what I needed to hear. Tyler ran a hand through his hair. You don't understand how things work. I understand perfectly, I said. You made a bad decision and expected me to cover it. My dad stepped forward. You're out of line. I met his eyes. No, I'm just not playing along anymore. Ethan stood up slowly. He looked at Catalina, then Tyler, then my parents. Is this true? No one answered. That was all he needed. He folded the papers once and set them down. I'm done. He walked out without looking back. The door closed, and something in the room shifted for good. Catalina pointed at me. You're selfish, she said. I shook my head. No, this is what happens when the truth shows up. No one argued with that, because they couldn't. For the first time, no one was controlling the story. Not my parents, not Catalina, not Tyler. The silence stayed, heavy, unavoidable, and I realized something in that moment. It wasn't about winning. It was about seeing everything clearly. And once I saw it, they couldn't take that back. Not anymore. Because the second the truth came out, the control was gone. And it wasn't coming back.
Chapter 5. What I walked away from. The silence after everything unraveled felt unfamiliar, like walking into a house that used to be loud and realizing no one was there anymore. For a few days, I kept checking my phone out of habit, not because I wanted to hear from them, but because I always had. A message from my mother asking for help, my father calling about something urgent, Tyler acting like nothing ever really broke. But nothing came. No apology, no explanation, just silence. At first, it made me uneasy. Then I understood what I was actually feeling. Relief. A week later, I heard Catalina's plan had fallen apart. The investment she pushed so hard never stabilized. The people she trusted pulled out as soon as things stopped looking perfect. The numbers she used to justify everything didn't hold up once they were real. I didn't feel good about it. I didn't feel anything close to victory. It just felt distant, like watching something collapse that I had already stepped away from. Tyler tried to keep it together, at least at first. That was always his thing. Act confident, act in control, even when everything underneath was starting to crack. But confidence doesn't stop consequences. The financial pressure caught up with him faster than he expected. The risks he ignored started stacking up. The shortcuts stopped working. And for the first time, I wasn't there to catch it before it hit the ground. I wasn't there to smooth things over or quietly fix what no one else wanted to deal with. And without that, everything looked different. My father struggled in a way I had never seen before. Not because he didn't understand what was happening, but because he had always assumed I would step in, that I would carry it, that I would make sure things didn't fall apart no matter how bad they got. When that didn't happen, nothing replaced it. The pressure just stayed where it was. My mother never called.
At first, I told myself it was pride. Then I thought maybe she was waiting. But the truth was simpler than that. She didn't miss me. She missed what I provided. That was the part that settled in slowly. I wasn't their daughter. I was their solution. And once that was gone, there wasn't anything left for them to reach for. They didn't lose me in that moment. They had been losing me for years. They just never noticed. Evan moved into the apartment not long after. We didn't talk much about what happened. He didn't push me to explain it or try to make sense of it for me, but there was something different in the way he treated me. Not like someone he needed something from, not like someone who had to prove anything, just like someone who was there. And for the first time, that felt enough. I went back to work. The startup I had built, the one they dismissed like it didn't matter, was still there, still growing, still moving forward without their approval, without their input. And I realized I didn't need them to believe in it for it to be real. It already was. Weeks passed, then months. The distance didn't close. It settled into something permanent. And with that came a kind of clarity I hadn't let myself have before. Nothing dramatic happened. There wasn't a moment where everything finally snapped into place. It was quieter than that. Catalina stopped talking about her plan entirely. Tyler stopped pretending everything was under control. My father stopped expecting things to fix themselves. And my mother stopped reaching out at all. Not because they changed, but because I did. Karma didn't show up all at once. It didn't come with a final confrontation or some perfect ending. It showed up in what was missing, in the support they used to rely on, in the space I left behind, and what they had to face without it. That was the part that mattered. Not making them hurt, not proving a point, just stepping away and letting everything fall where it was already going. I didn't take anything from them. I didn't win in the way people usually think about it. I just stopped giving, and that changed everything. The hardest part wasn't leaving. It was realizing nothing would pull me back. No apology would undo what had already been exposed. No promise would make it different. Once you see the pattern clearly, you can't pretend it isn't there anymore. And once I accepted that, there was nothing left to fix. Nothing left to hold on to. I used to think closure meant a conversation, some kind of ending where everything made sense. But it doesn't always work like that. Sometimes closure is just deciding you're done waiting, done explaining, done carrying something that was never yours to begin with. That was the moment it actually ended for me. Not the argument, not the truth coming out, just the decision that came after. If you've ever been the one everyone depends on but no one really sees, then you already understand what that feels like. So I'll ask you this. Have you ever realized your family didn't really love you? They just needed you. And what happened the moment you stopped giving? Because sometimes the strongest thing you can do isn't fighting back. It's walking away and letting the truth handle the rest. If this story meant something to you, stay with me, share your thoughts below, and follow along for more stories that might feel a little closer to your own.